My husband and I host a holiday party every year. We put on an impressive spread where we host up to 15, sometimes 18 people to a sit-down affair with crystal and pretty holiday plates. We figure if we're going to make our friends get a babysitter for the night, we have to put out. This year, a friend of mine asked me, "Geez, Jane, what is it with you and Christmas? You're not religious, but you certainly do get into it. Why?" So I'm going to try to explain why I get into Christmas so fucking much. I guess it starts with the nativity scene. My mom used to force us to do skits, and now later in life, my older sister Mary Ann does this to her kids. I guess it's one of those things we pass down in our family. Her kids, their cousins, their spouses, significant others, all of those folks are forced to do skits like we were. We used to do them at Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, family reunions, key birthdays of elder relatives, and of course Christmas. Every year until I was in about the 8th grade, I think, we would perform the nativity scene. Mary Ann would be the director and narrator, reading from a children's book, The Story of Christmas. I would often play the Virgin Mary, and my older brother Peter would be Joseph. A side note, Peter looks really sweet in this picture, but he was a real fucker of a brother. He picked on me relentlessly. He would try to break me. His whole game was to basically try not to touch me, but to get as close as possible to annoy me until I snapped. He would play a game called Ba-Ding Ba-Ding, which was supposed to be a bell from a fight. He would slow motion fake punch me and do a Howard Cosell play-by-play to go with it. When I would go and tell on him, my mom would say, "Just ignore him. If he knows he's getting to you, he wins. Just ignore him." I didn't know it at the time, but I guess my mom was some kind of Zen Buddhist. Good advice to teach patience against annoying odds. Sorry for the bitter digression there. Let's get back to the scene. We would be forced to do this play for a one-time performance at home, and then sometimes we would take it on the road to this crazy Catholic gathering that would happen in Lowell, Michigan, where all my mom's Irish Catholic side would gather. It'd be like 40, 50 plus crazy drunken Irish Catholics entertaining each other with skits and dancing and all sorts of fun. I guess this is where my performing or ham it up side came from. I mean, come on, me as the Virgin? I was the baby of 6, so we nearly had every part of the nativity scene covered. My older siblings, Kathy, Nancy, and Paul, played the 3 wise men. I guess we didn't use any shepherds. Maybe my mom didn't want them trailing sheep shit all over her living room rug. I love how Kathy looks in this shot. I mean, can't you just hear her saying to Mary and Joseph, "Here's your fucking myrrh. You better be worth it, you little bastard." Christmas was a big deal in our house. It took on the full season. It started right after Thanksgiving and would end with a bitter post-show depression right around 6 p.m. on Christmas Day. Sometime in November, my mom would hand me the Sears catalog and tell me to write down my Barbie item selections on the catalog order form to make it easier for her to phone in the order. 6QR5557-0093332D. Yes. It's called the Barbie Sunspacular Picnic Set. The Barbie Sunspacular Picnic Set. Yes, one of those. And as a teenager and college student, I would actually wrap all the presents for the family, including my own, and she would pay me $100 to help her out. She'd call me her little elf. A huge element for Christmas for me, as a kid, was all the kind of Barbie crap I was going to get. And here I need to admit something. I had a Barbie issue. I'm ashamed to admit. I actually didn't stop playing with Barbie until I was in 7th grade. And I think I only stopped after my older brother Peter teased me so much I couldn't handle it anymore. Yeah, I know. More brother issues. Talk to my male friends. I had quite the Barbie collection. Not only did I personally collect a great deal of Barbie shit, but I also inherited my 3 older sisters' stuff. I had cases of this stuff. I had 2 of the original Barbies and the original Skipper, which I gave a sex transformation operation to by cutting her hair off and making her a skip. The sad thing for my Barbies, and this might reflect in some of my own sort of relationship issues, is that we only had one Ken doll. One. I mean, he was really cool. He had mod hair. He was called Mod Hair Ken, with all these cool little beards and goatees and stuff. He had real hair versus the painted on kind that most Kens had. He was generally hooked up with this chick, Quick Curl Kelly Barbie. Most of the time, he had to please not only her, but like Malibu Barbie, Living Barbie, Francie, who was Barbie's younger, flatter-chested sister. I guess that's when he wanted a Roman Polanski thing. And then I also had this doll called Daisy. Now, she wasn't a Barbie. She was some kind of lesbian. She had a lot of tennis and golf clothing. I also had this very strange skipper called Growing Up Skipper, whose boobs would pop out of her flat chest after you twirled her arm around and she would grow a couple inches, or Barbie inches. I kept Ken very busy. He did unspeakable things to the gals in the country camper. I mean, baby Barbie had to come from someplace. I remember Christmas days after everything was unwrapped, a ham had been eaten, football was on the TV. I would just be exhausted hanging out in the family room, and a huge depression would seep over me. All this built-up anticipation and excitement for Christmas Day, and then it was like over in 30 minutes of wrapping, or unwrapping, and then a couple hours of playing. I guess it got a little easier after I stopped believing in the Santa Claus myth. I think a lot of us recall the time in our life that we learned that Santa Claus was a myth. Now, I believe there is a Santa in all of us, and I think it's important that he come out a lot. But I'm pretty cool with the fact that he doesn't have to get into a sleigh and fly to every household in the world in one night. That's just not safe. My family was in on it, the conspiracy to keep it a secret from me. I think I was like 9. I might have even been 10. I went to bed, and shortly after I was tucked in, I heard the attic door in the hallway open up, with the sounds of people coordinating themselves with boxes coming out of the attic. I already had suspicions, but hearing the presents being taken out of the attic nailed it. I wasn't devastated. I was more relieved. The hard part was keeping up the facade for my mom and family. I mean, they went to all this trouble to carry on the conspiracy, and I couldn't just come right out and say, "I know there's no such thing as Santa Claus." I mean, that's just not the politically savvy thing to do in a large family. There is a great deal of attention provided to the one who still believes in Santa. I didn't want to lose that attention. Remember, I was the baby of 6 kids. Attention had to be worked on. It had to be achieved. I wasn't going to shoot myself in the foot with some sort of snarky comment about Santa. I think my favorite memories of Christmas, and what it's really all about for me, is the excitement of having everyone together, having everyone come home and get ready to party in the house. Christmas music was a huge part of this party. My mom must have had 20 Christmas albums, all the hits. When Nancy and Peter would come home from college, the house would be full of all this music and us horrible singing. We would do fake Nutcracker Suite ballet jumps, whistling, and just general rowdiness that would cause our mom to send us downstairs, which would generally stop us from the madness because we were really just trying to take her around the bend. I used to get to her really well by singing this weird male voice, this sort of operatic voice, trying to be like Robert Goulet. There's no place like home for the holidays. You know, shit like that. I'd really get her. So by the time Christmas Eve would come around, I think we had sung every Christmas song at least 10 times. This stuff is in me, still to this day. I will never forget a Christmas lyric. It's like seeing your dog hit by a car before your eyes. It's burned in there good. I'll never forget a Christmas song lyric. Never. You should try me. Now, I don't know every song, but most of them I got down like Bing Crosby or Nat King Cole. Around this topic, we had an embarrassing moment happen to us at Christmas Mass one year. It was in the early 80s. We went to the inspirational 5 o'clock guitar mass on Saturday night, so we wouldn't have to bother with church the morning of Christmas. Morning of Christmas, we had presents to unwrap and probably a very deluxe breakfast to eat, or a brunch. So church on Christmas Sunday, was a plague to be avoided at all cost. So there we were, crammed into the back of the church, probably because all everyone else wanted to do was avoid the Sunday thing as well. So there's got to be like 700 people crammed in this church. My mom is sitting in between us. Here's my church, Queen of the Miraculous Medal. My mom's sitting in between my sister Nancy and me. The entrance hymn begins, Away in the Manger. We're singing along because that's what we do. And we notice these stuffy ladies sitting in front of us, kind of turning around and looking at us, kind of giving us dirty looks. And then we realize that my sister Nancy isn't singing, but she's whistling really loudly along with Away in the Manger. I mean, we're so accustomed to it, we don't even notice. But those damn bitches just keep looking at us. So finally, we did figure it out, and we start laughing, which is a sin. And it was that kind of laughing that's that inside laughing, where your shoulders are shaking, and you hurt your body from the laughter. And we can't stop. The whole mass, something would trigger us. And my mom, who was long done with going to church at this time, she doesn't give a shit what people think. And so she's like in her element, egging us on with little grins, little pinches and nudges. I mean, if there was any kind of nun nearby, my mom would have got racked on her knuckles with a ruler really hard. Any kind of nun. But we didn't have that. We had a slightly tipsy, church-hating mom on our hands who was in her sweet spot. My mom really loved Christmas. Beyond the rituals of putting on plays, decorating, gift-giving, eating well, I think she really just loved to get all of her kids together to play together. My mom used to have us kids pick out what she called a good fighting game every Christmas. This would be some board game that we would play that would hopefully, in my mother's eyes, promote good fights where we kids would work out our issues. My family played a lot of card games too. Games is still a really big deal in my family whenever we get together. When my husband met my family, Nancy, my older sister, Peter, my brother, and Lincoln, my husband, we were all about to start playing euchre, and we were going to teach Lincoln how to play. Lincoln explained he never played cards growing up. And my brother Peter, this is like the first time he meets my husband-to-be, says, "What the hell did you do? If you didn't play cards, what did you guys do?" Like, my brother couldn't imagine life without playing cards. Lincoln did play Risk, though, which was really good because my brother beat me at every board game we ever played. I could never fucking beat him. Yeah, I know, I have issues about that too. So I want to close with a good snow story because we almost always had a white Christmas in Jackson, Michigan. Lake effect, I believe, is the term for why we would get so much snow. And snow was a big deal for us. We loved it. We had a great hill next to our house that we could sled on. We'd make awesome ramps and jumps. You just didn't want to go all the way in the back of the yard where the warm snow was by the septic tank. Awesome for you that you got great distance on that saucer run, but trust me, it was not worth it at the end. That was not a payoff you wanted. We also would ice skate and toboggan on this beautiful local park hill. Snow was a huge fun factor for us. I miss it living in California. I know I can drive to the mountains for it, but it's not the same as looking out your front window and watching it actually accumulate. You'd hear stuff from the family would be like, "Is it sticking yet?" And that was always a sure sign of accumulation. The snow had to stick. "Looks like it," we would hopefully hear back. This meant we'd be able to go out and make snowballs, which was an important torture tool for my brother Peter. He probably should have been a ball player. His arm was quite accurate. Trust me. So Christmas has tremendous memories for me, and only a couple of them were kind of weird or sad, which is pretty lucky considering how many I've had and how many people I've shared them with. So enjoy this crazy time, sing a song, whistle it if you like, awkwardly, do a skit, and eat some fruitcake. Damn it. And please go reach out and give some love and share some happiness with those who love you despite all your crazy shit. Because they die or they go away. And sometimes the memories of Christmas are the best memories you have of them. And trust me, that's great stuff later on. So, have yourself a merry little Christmas now.